Okay, thanks everybody. This is our last talk before afternoon tea. So thanks for hanging in there. And I'm going to give an overview of the Collaborative Exploration Initiative, which I know is something that is near and dear to many hearts. So hopefully we've got some good things to say. GSQ programs. All right, this is meant to be a slide showing all of the funding that we've had since 2017. So currently, the last 2 days, you've been hearing about the Strategic Resources Exploration Program over there on the right-hand side of the screen, left-hand side of the screen if you're facing that way, yes. And that one finished mid-year 2021, which is why we're all here in this room hearing about all the work that's been done under that program. Our current funding package is called the New Economy Minerals Initiative. So when you hear us banging on about critical minerals, that is where that money comes from. In each of those programs, there is a component of that funding that's dedicated to CEI. So under, each year there's an amount set aside for CEI, and then last year in 2020 during COVID we had a boost to CEI, which was sort of a COVID support mechanism for the resources sector of an additional 10 million over 4 years from 2020 to 2024. So that means that, we've been able to significantly increase the amount of money that's gone out for CEI, particularly over the last couple of years and over the next 2 years. So I just wanted to show that to sort of so that you can get the picture of how we are able to run it in terms of the funding that the GSQ gets from government. Unfortunately, we don't have a permanent funding bucket for CEI. I'll move around because I can see people past the column can't see me. A permanent funding bucket for CEI sort of embedded and forever. That's something that I'm working on. Right, the CEI, as every state has a co-funded or government-funded exploration program, grants program. I think in the WA, it's the EIS. In South Australia, it was PACE. I think they've renamed it. It's something else now. In Queensland, it's the Collaborative Exploration Initiative. It's really aimed at boosting exploration, boosting investment in exploration, particularly in downturns, particularly in tough times, and particularly for the junior end of the market, although we don't discriminate based on the size of the company by any means, but those companies who may struggle to raise capital to be able to undertake that first pass exploration that will enable them to then get some results and get more funding in through the door to advance a project. We do particularly like projects that are going to be in an area that's had very, very little exploration. So they are truly green fields where any hole, even if it intersects no mineralisation or any geophysical survey, any information is going to really add to our body of knowledge for a new area. Higher risk projects, things that are a bit out of the box, things that are approaching a problem in a totally different way that may struggle to attract, internal funding from within a company or else outside of the company from investors. I mentioned the fact that, junior explorers are particularly strong beneficiaries of the CEI program. This map is a year or so old now, and we really do need to update it. But it does, I don't think it's that different today as it was a year or so ago. So it's just a map showing the distribution of tenure in Queensland by market cap. So junior companies well and truly dominate that map, not only in the number of entities, the number of companies involved, but also in the pure land area that they hold, which is a really, really significant thing for us within government to understand, because that's an awful lot of ground being explored by people with generally not a lot of money and not a lot of staff, not a lot of resources to be able to conduct that exploration. So some facts and figures about our collaborative grant scheme over the years. So started in 2007 as the Collaborative Drilling Initiative, was just for drilling at that time, was then expanded to be the Collaborative Exploration Initiative. I think that was in 2017. So geophysics was then included and other types of sampling. So far, I think 16 rounds have been offered. We've had nearly 1,000 applications over that time. I'm sure we'll get closer to that over the next week. We've managed to hand out around $18 million, lots of drilling. I think we need to also include some stats around geophysics and that kind of thing. We can work on that over the next few months. One of the things that we've changed in the last couple of years is that we have removed the need to have co-funding. So no longer do companies need to match the expenditure for a grant. We will fund, it's still up to $200,000, but we don't require a company to meet that amount of expenditure as well, which hopefully removes some barriers, particularly again to that junior cohort. So again, this is the graph showing the variability in funding from inception through the last few years. Sometimes that amount of money has been embarrassingly low. I'm going to say that out loud. That really big, the mouse is going to work on the screen, maybe not, the really big one. Oh, thanks. Perfect. Laser pointer, there it is. Okay, so the really big one here, that was 2020, which was round 4, I think, where we had 2.5 million dedicated to CEI, and then we got, was it 2.5 or was whatever it was, I can't remember exactly, but we were able to bring forward the funding that was allowed for the next few years, bring that all back into 2020 to round 4, and then we added extra money from this COVID boost package, and then that's what's then supplied 2.5 million for over the next few years through to 2024. So that was round 4. This one is round 5, which is currently ongoing. People are out there doing their work right now. Paul Tan had to run, oh no, I don't think his was a CEI hole. Heathgate, Joe Potter, he's had to leave to go back and look after his CEI project. So it's active at the moment, and that'll finish in June 2022. And then round 6 here is currently open, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Over time, so from the Collaborative Drilling Initiative through to the Collaborative Exploration Initiative, there's been a huge variety of commodities or exploration for commodities that we've supported. Back in the original days, we were supporting coal and CSG projects. We're not doing that anymore. It is now purely a minerals program. And then with the funding that we received under the New Economy Minerals Initiative in 2020, we've then been requested by government to have a strong focus on building the critical mineral potential for Queensland and our understanding of what we can make out of the future metal requirements for decarbonisation. How can we support that transition? So CEI is again part of that. Copper, of course, is vital for electrification, so it definitely still falls under the critical mineral or new economy mineral banner, as does zinc, silver, and really most of the base metals and things that we have traditionally explored for, but then also rare earths, lithium, nickel, cobalt, all of that sort of stuff. So you can see that, the big strengths for minerals in Queensland, gold, copper, gold, and lead, zinc and silver are very well represented there in terms of the number of grants that have been received. And that's not a surprise, just for the amount of activity that, that those grants represent. We're also, just in the last couple of years, I remember this lithium one, that was only 2020, I think. And we've seen the number of grants going out for rare earths has gone up in the last couple of years as well. So this is again a mix of the commodities by round. So back in round 1, most of those were for gold, you know, whereas we change now, there's a lot of lead zinc in round 4, which was 2020. Vanadium was a big one. So there's been a real evolution of what, you know, very reflective of global market conditions. We see that change into you know, towards decarbonisation, battery minerals, so the rare earths sort of come in here for these couple, whereas they really weren't there before. Round 4, which I think is when most of these numbers and graphs were put together, that was through 2020, finished in June 2021. So I'm just going to sort of give a little overview of the most recent rounds. That was the one where we had the boosted round, so that we had about 5 million in grants to give out during COVID. So a record number of applications. We were able to support 25 projects and, you know, a range of different activities. They were spread across Queensland, which was really great to see. Of course, there's a lot in the northwest because there's a lot of activity here, but also seeing some in the northeast, central Queensland, and then even down in the middle of nowhere. Round 5 is the one that is currently ongoing. So again, there's a lot of activity, you know, in the northwest, but still some in the northeast and central Queensland as well. A fewer number because we had a smaller amount of grant money to give out, but 18 projects have been funded under the current round. And we're seeing a bigger range of activities that we're supporting. So for the first time, we've got a machine learning trial included as a CEI grant in this round. Round 6, applications close on Monday. So you do still have time to finish those off. We have changed, and the reason for this we've got round 5 going at the moment, but we recognise that the model of running from July to June really doesn't work. It's something that's sort of been imposed on us by others in government who don't understand how exploration works. We've fought very hard over the last couple of years to be able to change the way the budget is structured, which is totally bureaucratic, to run on a calendar year. So from now on, CEI will run on a calendar year to be more reflective of, you know, the seasonality of exploration activities in Queensland. So we opened applications for round 6 in November. They will close next Monday. Again, it's 2.5 million available, up to 200,000. Whole range of different activities are included. You know, the usual constraints, you have to hold tenure in Queensland, you know, blah, 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 blah. It's funded under that New Economy Minerals initiative. So we will give priority to projects that are focused on critical minerals, new economy minerals, but that does still include a huge range of different things. And, you know, most deposits are polymetallic in some way or another. So I'm sure you can word your applications to include, we are looking for copper, but we pretty much anticipate that, well, copper is on the list, but, you know, gold plus bismuth or I don't know, something. You'll figure it out, surely. We will make the successful grants available. Yeah, you totally can. Nobody's going to hold this against me. Beep. So we'll deliberate over those. You know, it's a bit of a funny time. Obviously, our panel we'll have to accommodate people's holidays and that kind of thing, and Christmas and all that sort of stuff. But we will make our announcement in February with the goal that people will be able to start at the new year. Hopefully it won't be raining too much. You'll be able to get going, and then you've got through till December to be able to finalise those projects. So it's a proper field season. No more of this, you know, nonsense of trying to finish in May and that kind of thing. I thought it would be really worth as well going through some highlights of the last couple of rounds. So just some of the really cool things that have come out of the CEI program to show the value. Not that I need to demonstrate the value to this room, but one of the ones that's come out is Aon Metals. Unfortunately, nobody from Aon is here, I don't think, but the Beauchamp system just to the west of ISA, a new ISCG system. They got some, I think there was one hole was the CEI hole. I think it was this one here. Is that hole one? I think it is. And they subsequently followed that up after some success in that first hole with some other holes. They've expanded their tenure. You know, it's an active exploration project. And there's a picture of some of the drill core. Really great to see, you know, some of that a technical success, and hopefully something that will lead to further activity and a discovery down the track. This one isn't the Northwest, but it's one that I'm really keen on, so I thought I'd throw it up there. The Peaks Range project with Northex, tiny little company. So again, you know, really great to see that CEI can be involved to get these guys off the ground, because they couldn't afford to drill without CEI, get it off the ground to the point where they can then attract more serious investment and capital to progress the project. So it's a peralkaline volcanic rocks with lots of rare earths, work done by an honours student and Carl Spandler and Ross Chandler out of JCU. They've now moved on from Townsville, but still involved in the project. And then Stuart Parker is he's it, I guess, for Northex. But they've had 2 CEI grants. The first was a purely mineralogical project with the assistance of CSIRO. So here's some element maps on the right showing different rare earths it's a rare earth phosphate mineral. And then on the left, this year they got a drilling grant. And so there's a picture of some xenotime crystals in their drill core from this year. I haven't seen the assays yet, but still visible xenotime like that, coarse crystals. I think that's pretty cool. So can't wait to see what happens there. I'm just going to put that back up again to remind you, you've got a few days to put your applications in for round 6. It's not that hard. Give us some justification and get those grants in, because really like to hand out some money. I'm not on the panel, by the way, because I have too many biases, too many people that I like too much. Okay, round 7 again. So this will open. If you can't get anything done for round 6 by Monday, round 7 will open November 2022. So we're moving to that calendar year. November 2022 will open for applications. They'll close in December. You know, we'll deliberate over the Christmas holidays and make an announcement in February 2023, and then you'll have all of 2023 to get that work done. And if you haven't done your feedback survey, because I've been pestering as many people as I can, please do. This was Trevor wasn't here. We've got a survey going, Trevor, to tell us, you know, what we're doing right and wrong. So everybody, please, if you haven't done it one last time, get your phones out. There's the web address if you want to do it on your laptop. Get the survey done so that we know what we're doing right, we know what we're doing wrong, we know what you would like to see in the next few years of GSQ and pre-competitive data programs. So I think that afternoon tea is about to come out. Does anybody have any questions about CEI?
There are a couple of questions online.
Okay.
So there's a question here. Do you have a statistic on the number of applications of junior versus majors on their applications versus those that were granted, Helen?
That's a really great question. And one thing I was going to mention is that we have a new CEI grants manager who's starting on Monday. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here. Her husband is here. So I will ask her to pull that kind of information together, and the next presentation we give,
yep,
we'll include that.
And then the other one, which I think will be similar to that, is what is the total percentage CI expenditure composed of drilling versus other exploration activities?
Oh, now I think Reese, who was our previous grants manager, he did get that together, but I don't know. So again,
We'll get some new stats out.
We'll get some new stats out and have that information on there. All right. Any more questions from the room? Yes.
Can we run our projects on a calendar year now as well?
No.
Dang it.
Our June is always awful. Okay. Anybody else want to ask anything? Yeah, go, Gordy.
It's probably outlined in the instructions for the grant, but say you need some kit to do your program. Are purchases of like instruments able to be included? It doesn't seem like it really fits the MO, but I'm just wondering. I mean, an example would be like a ASD spectrometer or something. You can rent one, but it's much more economical to buy one to do an innovative program. Can you do a grant to get one of those, for example?
You could try. Why not? Why not ask? Just put it in there and see what. I'll let the panel decide. Yeah.